Idly-ho there, neighbors. Hope everyone's well. I, doing a quick update. I recently discovered a sort of section of the geeky world that I didn't actually know that much about. Halo. So, yes, I mainly talk about tabletop games here, and this is certainly going to be related to that. It has to do with how you build your science fiction settings. Now, science fiction games have been around forever, almost as long as D&D. And D&D had some early science fiction in it, actually, but more of a science fantasy, really. But the thing that I noticed with a number of the settings out there, the setting helps sort of describe the game that you're going to play. So, Halo is a first-person shooter. It's not a role-playing game. It's, Mass Effect, while it has first-person shooting elements, at its heart, it's an RPG. A computer RPG, but an RPG. And you can tell the difference between Mass Effect and Halo in the way they set up their world. In the first few games, you know nothing about what life is like in Halo outside the military. It never comes up. There's almost no discussion of, what kind of history they had. They have some minor, this war with the Covenant and this and that kind of thing. And they certainly hint at maybe some darker internal conflicts because the Spartans were made to not fight the Covenant but to fight other humans. But really, they don't give you any true information. You don't know the political structure. You don't know anything. You don't know what people do for a living. You don't know, anything except about their military. You can make inferences based on their technology level. They have artificial gravity, slip drives, basically hyperspace drives. They clearly have genetic and chemical manipulation down, and some fairly advanced artificial intelligence. But you don't know anything about their culture beyond that. You actually learn more about the culture of the bad guy in some ways than you do of the UNSC. Now, they may put out a lot more information in the books. I haven't read all the books, so I don't know. But in the actual first few games, they don't tell you much. I went and, if you want to go check it out, people have put movies of all the cutscenes and relevant story bits from those games online, so you could just watch to catch up on the story. And I've actually caught up on the story through all the major Halo games at this point, including the new one, Halo 5. But you actually learn more about the Covenant structure, political structure at any rate, what their religion is, than you do about the human culture in Halo, which is odd, I think. Whereas Mass Effect at least gives you some view of a non-military life. Yes, all the main characters in the first game are military, and they have a military background, but you do get pictures of here's a colony, here's what people do on that colony, here's shops on the giant space station that you get to hang out on for a long time, and the kinds of things people sell, and hints of the normal life outside of the military context. And not without any sort of non-corollary there, I guess. Wow, that was a convoluted sentence. I should. I don't know why I said that, because it was a convoluted sentence. English. It's not for amateurs anymore. Anyways, the whole point there was that amount of detail would be required in a game where you might actually talk to someone, where you have to make choices and understand the world around you beyond just how do I shoot that thing. So it was interesting to see the contrast. I'm not saying that Halo is a bad setting, but it's a setting definitely set up for pure combat. The actual storyline is somewhat similar to Mass Effect. There are ancient alien builders that, roughly equivalent of space gods, I guess. A terrible threat that even they couldn't deal with. You've got, the multi-ethnic aliens and just the humans, who all appear to be American, apparently. Just some interesting similarities, actually. But and they do have some fascinating backstory in Halo. The story of the Forerunners and all that. Although, let's agree that maybe Ancient Alien Space Gods is a bit overused. So is AIs are dangerous and are a threat to us. Gets a bit overused. I get the reason why it's used, but it's a bit overused. But yeah, so what lessons can you take for a tabletop game? Well, when you're making a setting or picking a setting that you're going to use for your tabletop sci-fi game, you kind of have to decide what kind of gameplay you're looking for. If you're looking for a heavy combat game, you really don't need a lot of details about, what people do for a living. Where the food comes from, how political leaders are picked, or anything like that. I mean, really, you just need some basic outlines and not much detail, because you're not going to deal with it. It's a pure, mostly combat game. And, Warhammer 40k, good example. You don't actually need a lot of details about the world. They do provide it to you, but almost all of the details that they provide you and if related to the war game is stuff that would relate to the military. And which is fine. That's perfectly purpose-driven world design. I think that, if I'm designing a world for, a White Star game or Strange Stars or some fill in your science fiction setting here, I think the first thing would be, what sort of gameplay do I expect to have? And that will help you decide what details are important enough to go into detail on. That was just my ramble based on the looking into Halo. Halo has a lot of lore to it, and I'm not certain that it would make a good role-playing game setting because they don't give you a lot of details about the world. But, maybe the books fill it out a bit more. Who knows? Anyway, I'll talk to you later. Subscribe, like, share with all the people, and I'll, try and stay out of trouble and not incur any alien invasions or piss off any ancient space gods. See ya.